Hello again, and welcome to Here We Are, the mindful podcast for millennials, where it's all about remembering where we've been, knowing where we're going, and taking up space in the present through the art of storytelling. I'm your host, Teka, and I'll tie together the practice of presence with some mental health and faith nuggets, leading to some life lessons too, with some humor and music tied into the mix. Whether sharing my own story or featuring a special guest, I hope we inspire you to take control of your story and take control of your life. I hope you receive what you need from today's episode. And don't forget, check the show notes for any links that we reference in today's episode. You ready? Let's journey. All right, good people. Today we have a guest, and I'm a little hype because it is our first male guest. Hello, Black man. I'm so excited to introduce you all to Bretton Key. Brett wears a lot of hats, right? He's an IT professional. He serves in the United States Air Force Reserves. He's an entrepreneur, so much more, right? But above all else, his favorite and most important hat is being a father. A Norfolk native with 3 beautiful kids that are his center and motivation, Brett strives to inspire individuals to unlock their full potential and create a life of abundance and achievement. He shares his profound insights, practical strategies, and motivational stories that empower his target audience to overcome obstacles, embrace personal growth, and strive for greatness. Think of Brett as a guiding light, helping individuals navigate their journey towards success. Expanding his impact, Brett is also the founder and owner of DateJar LLC, a business that is a date planning service and marketplace to broker memorable dating experiences.
Yes.
As an astute entrepreneur, he's established a track record of transforming innovative ideas into thriving ventures with expertise in strategic planning, business development, and leadership. Brett also enjoys speaking and hosting various engagements and events that promote creating meaningful connections with those you hold dear. And even though his world is action-packed, Brett is always mindful to make time for what matters most, family and being an active parent. Welcome, Brett. Hey.
Thank you, Teka, for having me. And the way how you just said that so eloquently is remarkable. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Well, it is your story. I just read it. So I'm so grateful that you're here. All righty. But you're welcome. So before we hop into your story, I want to introduce listeners and viewers to you. If you are comfortable, tell them how we know each other. How do we connect?
Wow, that's actually is actually a very serendipitous story and very benign. Just met casually online some time ago, and once I got to see really what you were about, it was just just a connection there. So from there, just keeping up with each other from a different contact, and we worked together. You were able to write a very, very great blog post.
I did.
Blog that I have, yes. And again, there's always like the 10 degrees of separation. So I think we also have some other people in common as well.
We do.
And again, you just you seem like a beautiful soul. And we haven't met directly in person.
I know. Can we change that?
Yeah, it's like, look, for every interaction we have, it's been like golden. And when you gave me the invite to come here, I was just like, say less, let's do it.
Yes. Thank you for accepting it. And I agree. It was definitely serendipitous. The connections, we would have crossed paths either way. Cause like you said, we have a lot of mutual contacts. And so it would have happened eventually. One day we will cross paths in person, IRL.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the 757. I think we're in the 804. So, I mean, just a hop, skipping a jump.
We'll make it happen. Yep. Well, you're so correct. Well, one of the things I think that we do share in terms of factors is, like I wrote for the blog, or whether it's throughout your other experiences, is like mental health and well-being overall, right? Yep. And as a Black man, I think it's really important for you to also have a voice and share kind of what that journey has been for you, because a lot of times we may not hear the vulnerable side of it, right? We see the success, we see the end result, maybe even the shiny highlight of the journey, but it's not always easy. And so I would love to hear myself, and for listeners and viewers to hear how you yourself, or why you yourself, began your journey of mental health, mental healing, and maybe even some curse breaking.
Okay. Well, before I get too far into the story, how far can I speak? Can I really speak very freely? Like, is there any
Okay,
restrictions
so
or
on this
you know?
podcast, we keep it real. So
All right, just making sure because I don't want to use
keep
certain
it
language. That's
real.
not, Um, I'm just gonna say in a simple nutshell, I didn't feel like I had my shit together. That's the real
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like for
Mm-hmm.
a hot minute, and I had a bunch of different things happening from all fronts, from home, financial, work, all sorts of things happening, and they overwhelmed me. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize I was really being overwhelmed because I'm a busybody. I'm always in high stress environments, but I
Mm-hmm.
realized all that stress and all those different factors some years ago were taking a big toll on me, and it was taking a toll on me how I feel physically. I had different health issues that had arose that I never had before. In addition, I happened to just not feel myself. I didn't feel like that personality. I'm usually like a happy-go-lucky,
Mm-hmm.
very jokative kind of person. And I just saw myself on a downward decline from that.
Yeah.
So it started out where I didn't know really what to do and what sources to even to address it. And I started going
Mm-hmm.
to therapy many years ago, and that was a huge help for me because having that unbiased, unfiltered format and person to kind of really talk some things out helped me to one reveal the things that were really bothering me at that time, and then also it helped also reveal some stuff that I kind of had repressed and kept to myself that was actually coming back up. So my,
Yeah.
my mental health started really definitely probably around I would say around like 2018
Mm-hmm.
2019 was when it
Cool.
really started to be something I just couldn't ignore. And then I started exploring more ways from since then, and even continually to address and make sure that I'm my best version of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? I love that you said a couple things that kind of highlighted the warning signs, how you knew something was wrong or how you knew something needed to be addressed, right? Physically, you felt off, your mood felt off, you feel like you just couldn't get it together, right? And I think a lot of times for men, especially black men, there's a weight that you all carry. And so you may not be able to verbalize that that is what's happening. So you do suppress it or you maybe compartmentalize, right? We kind of just put it on the shelf like I'll get to it later, put it on the back burner.
Yep.
When it came time for you to admit and say like actually there is something going on, I need to talk to someone, specifically a therapist, what was that like for you? Like how did it feel to finally admit that or to finally reveal that?
Really, it was scary because I'm not a person who's really likes to like tell anybody like my business or certain
Mm-hmm.
things that goes
Yeah.
on. One thing I kind of pride myself is, which is also like a testimony, is I don't look like what I've been through. And a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
experiences or stuff that I've brought up in or have experienced, you would never have guessed that that happened to me, or
Yeah.
that was a part of my background or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was big getting over that hurdle. Number two is that I pride myself on having a really great circle of friends and people
Mm-hmm.
who have been very instrumental in just who I am as a person. But
Yeah.
that experience where with those kind of people, it gets tough to even talk to them. And these people know me and have seen these different things, but it gets very tough to talk about those different, low points and those issues that are happening because the one perception I have for the longest is that a lot of people couldn't relate or you wouldn't understand because it wasn't your burden or it wasn't
Yeah.
your shoes to fit. Once I kind of recognized just a holistic view that for those days where I feel like I got it bad or things is happening to me, there's somebody out there, or I come to find I had, way worse circumstances or things that they've experienced, and it kind of gave me more perspective and more
Yeah.
to and confidence to address these different.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So what I'm hearing is like, even though you had a really great community around you, you didn't look like what you were going through, right? We can kind of put on the mask, the cape, the hats, and people may not be able to see it. You still kind of felt in silo or maybe alone
Yep.
before you revealed it, right? Before you said like, this is what I'm experiencing, and people were able to empathize and say, oh, me too. I can relate. It may have felt like a kind of a lonely journey. Do you feel like that is common for a lot of Black men?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, and to be honest, I still, have it. I'm not making it seem like this is something that is like, there's like a
Yeah.
magic cure or instantly it's resolved. It's something that takes time and
Yeah.
attention to address and keep up with. So yeah, that is a huge thing. And more recently, I've been involved with different groups and people who are telling me
Mhm.
this. And even it's actually a reoccurring topic that when I am doing speaking engagements or anything, public like this, it comes up
Mhm.
quite frequently. Like it really comes
Yeah.
up quite frequently. Overall, it feels tough to, you always got to wear your cape and you always got to, make it seem like stuff rolls off your back. Or as a man, especially a black man, that when certain things happen, you just supposed to just take it on the chin, keep it
Mm.
moving. And, there's no time for tears. There's no time to, dwell on it or sulk or, complain or anything like that. But sometimes you need to sit with those feelings and really understand what's really, either attacking you or hitting you
Mhm.
that resonates, or you got to look at it from a context of like what it at this particular point in my life, what
Mhm.
is really happening, like what is this really happening, because if it's reoccurring, then obviously that's a sign that it could be a bigger issue or more to it. But if it's more
Yep.
of like a one-off kind of thing, then again, deal with it, as it happens,
Right.
deal with it as it happens.
Yeah. When it comes to those reoccurring things, right? Whether it's like you find yourself in the same kind of relationship, or you find yourself having the same kind of responses to people, maybe the same obstacles coming up. We talked about this offline kind of before last week about like generational curses or
Yes.
things that we have to address. In like the psychology world, something that we're exploring and researching is intergenerational trauma and how
Yes.
that is passed down. Things that we don't even know we are a proponent of. We're like, hey, I don't know why I have, like, for example, I remember this one story of someone who had a limp, right? Never been in an accident, doesn't have any other medical reasoning to say, oh, this is why you have that limp. Come to find out, generations back, there it was either the grandfather or great grandfather or great great grandfather, generations back, was a sharecropper and experienced abuse, basically racial injustice, and they were injured to the point where they had a limp. And so that pain, that suffering, that experience literally was passed down to the point where the body, DNA, it knew what was going on,
Yep.
or it was a showing the result of that, what had happened. And so it's like when you think about patterns, sometimes there are things that you know about. You're like, oh, I did this. This is all me. But others, you're like, why? Why am I acting like this? Why do I think like this? Why do I believe this? So, how would you say, like, the patterns or the recurring experiences? How would you say that's impacted you as just you yourself, but also in your different roles?
Real talk. That is such a great question, and I don't want to go too scratch beneath the surface, but my perspective is, and even from that previous conversation, is that we pass on so much more than just height, eye color,
Mm-hmm.
smile, whatever. We inherit so many, mannerisms, or again, like you just described, like battles that goes well
Mm-hmm.
beyond. And I recognize in my life journey that directly happened to me. I looked at my parents and
Mm-hmm.
what's happened to them and their upbringing. My father was a person who, he's living, but he's never been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been married like 6 times, and I
Mm-hmm.
have other siblings as well, but we're all like sparse and never grew up with one another or even really know
Yeah.
much about each other existing. My mother on her side, her mother passed away when she was very young and had a
Mm-hmm.
kind of a tumultuous upbringing as a result of that. And certain things that were happening internally with my family, it just kind of hit her, in different ways. And from that, it impacted me. And
Yeah.
even as an adult, um, it just makes me realize, like I said again, like, and really how you even really said, is that there is so much stuff that in traumas and things that are passed down that you don't even recognize are hitting you. You got to
Right.
really take some time to reflect or to kind of like tune out noise, because if you really sit with yourself in different scenarios or interactions with other people, you'll uncover like, wait a second, like if this is happening over and over again, or if I'm the center of this particular issue,
Mm-hmm.
I need to explore this more and figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's what really happened to me, and it really manifests even more through my kids. I have these three beautiful kids. Today is actually my daughter's 8th birthday. I'm so excited
Happy
about that.
birthday.
Yes, my little pumpkin is 8 years old today. And then I have 13 and
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old. But the thing I realized from each of their personalities and how they are and so forth is that they have some underlying things that I battled as a young adult, like as a
Mm-hmm.
kid at their different stages. And I've been able to identify because I'm like, it was too eerie how much I could, like I could relate or I see things. So
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm speaking to them or not even just them, but just people who I'm really close to, sometimes I speak to them from that lens of that kid or that person at that time frame and try my best to like give exactly what I would like to hear or what is needed at that time to make things better
Yeah.
and do so in a way where it leaves a lasting impact. Like really,
Yeah.
really try my best to be mindful of those words so that it really resonates and it sticks with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a real thing.
It is a real thing. So, two things is that one, you were able to, even if it's not the full story,
Yeah,
hear or get some of the story of your parents to see, empathize, understand kind of where they're coming from, why they did what they did, what their beliefs or what their upbringings were. Um, and from that, recognizing how it affected you, you're like, I want to do something different with my
yeah,
kids.
that is huge. That's actually like one of my biggest motivators in general is like
Yeah.
I don't have like I feel like I don't have like all like those normal fears that people have. My biggest fear is like not living to my full potential. And as
Mm-hmm.
well, like my other fear really is not being able to like pass on as much positivity to my
Mm,
children and those who are really are close to me because you just never know what people are going through. And then again, from
yeah.
my own flesh and blood, I know that if they, again, they're going through some stuff that they never asked for. They didn't ask to be here. So
Yeah.
therefore, it's my job to equip them with as much as I can to help them,
Mm,
you know, encounter those issues. But then also in their own life experience, they're going to encounter some other stuff. So my biggest wish is to help them and be there for them in those elements for those new battles, and hopefully be a engine of hope and understanding and wisdom to help them navigate their lives and again keep repeating the process for their kids and their generations to come. And that's how earlier, like we stated, like you break those generational traumas, curses, and so
yeah.
forth and so on. You just do the work in little pieces and not try to shelter somebody from the world or like automatically overprotect them. You just let them know that when you are in the world or your experiences that you want them to be equipped to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Exactly.
and it's not going to be perfect, or it's not like, there's no one set way because, hey, your father or whoever, like we still figuring it out. We're still
Mm-hmm.
figuring it out. So you do the best you can and
Yeah.
do your best to be a good human.
Yeah. It takes some honesty and awareness. I love that to be able to say, I didn't have this, or I know what it feels like to be this age and have these experiences. So here, let me speak to that stage that you're in.
Yeah.
And like you said, not necessarily shielding them and kind of keeping them from any of the obstacles or how or what the world has to give them, but giving them the tools and the skills to say, I know how to navigate this because my dad gave me hope. He gave me strength. He gave me confidence.
Yep. Yep. I'm like one of those kind of people that's always been like, got to touch the stove to see if it's hot kind of a person. So, and that's passed on even, that's passed on to my kids. My kids are kind of the same way. They kind of have
Yeah,
like that rambunctiousness
they take the
or just,
risk.
yeah, or that strong will where they're like, no, I'm going to, I got this, or I'm gonna figure it out for myself. And I love that about them. But at the same
Hmm.
token, that's one of those things that will bite you, from time to time, because you don't got to, go down that same route that somebody else has, has been down. You can't learn and
Yeah,
or borrow from the things that you think work and works for you. So that's
yeah.
some real stuff. That's real talk.
It is real. It is real. So whenever you think about, okay, of course, this journey is for you, but also for your kids. How do you maintain that? Like, what does it look like for you, not
Yep.
only as a father, but also as an entrepreneur, as someone who's in the military service, someone who it has, friendships and relationships and all of. How do you maintain making sure that you're taking care of your mental health, your well being overall?
You know what? That's real. That's a great question, and I'm going to answer this in a couple different lenses. So the
Hmm.
first lens, like from as a father, um, more than recently, I had to introduce them to Brett as the person. They know me as dad, daddy, and so
Hmm.
forth. and how I am and how I operate as a parent. But I had to introduce them to the man, like who I am as a person. And I had to be more honest with them for those moments, both sides of the fence of like daddy is cool and everything's great, to all the moments where daddy's just like not feeling it like right now, or daddy's not able to right now because of the exact reason why. It was wild that I had to admit to my oldest daughter, like I think she was like from my kids, like the first kid I had admitted that I had battled, some anxiety or depression at those different times because she could see it. She just didn't know how to characterize or put it into words. And she would mention these different things to me, and I had to be like, "Oh no, like no, baby, like I hear it, I get it," and I would feel bad because one of my main mechanisms that I've grown to do is I call it, hiding in plain sight, which is, I do my best to like, bury and put all that stuff inside and try to, be out because I got things to do. I got, life keeps moving, but you can visibly and easily tell like something's wearing on me and I'm not at my best or not 100%. So not just from like my oldest, but all three of my kids, I had to introduce them to who I am as a person first and let them recognize between, Brett as the father and then Brett as the man. Then from the outside world, from being an entrepreneur, is that I try my best not to like lead with this whole like I got everything all together or whatever. I do want to, always emphasize that hey, I'm a organization kind of guy where, I have a meticulous way of doing things. But at the same token, I'm still learning or not too high on myself where it's like I'm not willing to bring myself to your world and I will hope you want to bring it to mine. So the way how I also take care of myself is just being knowledgeable. Like I have a real social battery. Like I'm very personable, like could operate in any room or virtually any setting, but it has a time expectancy. So having those downtime,
Little.
yes, it's like, I need that quiet time. Like a lot of times people, because of how action packed and how much I do, people automatically assume that I'm out in the streets all the time and I'm doing a lot of stuff. And I am, but most times when I really got that downtime, I'm sitting here to myself. I'm figuring out like how to meditate. I'm figuring out, yoga, walking, resting, doing something that's constructive for me that speaks to me in those times. And that's the hard part is that the outside world, trying to make sure that you're not presenting something that you're not. And so I try my best to show up as authentically myself in all scenarios.
That's it.
And that's the key to it, is learning to be comfortable in your own skin and showing up authentically as who you are in whatever setting. And that's what I've been about and really working on. And it gets tough because some people get scared away, or everybody, or it just kind of like reveals who you really can rock with and who can't. But it's a journey. Like it's a real journey.
Yeah, it is. I mean, kudos to you, one, for recognizing like that authenticity that you want to present to not just your children, but everyone. It requires that level of vulnerability to say, I don't have it all together, or to even say to your daughter, that's huge, to not necessarily put it on her, but to validate and normalize, like, hey, dad sometimes experiences anxiety and depression too. Like, I feel this way. And it's okay for you to say that you feel that way too, because now I can talk to you about that. But also, you mentioned, having a social battery and, making sure that you do things that basically fill your cup. So you have to pour back into yourself.
Yep.
Self-care. And I know it's like a buzzword, but it literally is, making sure that you're able to preserve yourself so that you can be your best self and pour into all these other ventures you have. So the yoga, the meditating, having community, all of that is filling your cup. And I think that a lot of men deserve to hear that they can prioritize themselves in that way. It is okay to say, I need to take care of me.
Yeah, last week, last Friday, I had a great conversation with my homies and some of my friends I don't normally get a chance to hang out with. And we literally talked about this in spades about one thing that we need to show, especially if you have kids or other people, is how you take care of yourself. Again, as you being like a provider, protector, or whatever role that you're doing, from or whatever gender norms, whatever you want to do. The one thing that we commonly do, especially as men and Black men especially, is that we don't show how we're taking care of ourselves. If we do, we do it like kids that went to sleep, or wife or whoever you with, like you do it after the fact in this kind of like dungeon-esque kind of a way where you're, and you need to do it in the same way, like, hey, no, dad needs to do this, or I'm not feeling this, so I'm going to do this for myself. And that establishes a boundary and also lets them know, again, where you need, what you need and how you need, and what to be your best self. You know what I mean? Like you're really trying to be your best self. And that's again, it gets difficult. Like that gets very difficult because people don't, people treat you as good as you treat yourself.
Okay. Yes.
Like that's a real thing,
Yeah.
and that falls really, especially to kids. Kids don't recognize, they don't understand. They're just looking at you from the context of how you are with them, and they just deal
Mm-hmm.
with you in that boat. So taking care of yourself has been, you got to do it,
Yeah.
and sometimes it might be, daddy needs a pedicure, or
Mm-hmm. Come
sometimes
on.
daddy just need to sit over here outside, maybe drink a beer, whatever. Like
Uh-huh.
it can go to whatever you feel comfortable, whatever works. But I will say that, and the kind of closest thought is what I've done more recently is to include my kids in some of those elements so they can see again more of me.
Yes.
So like when it comes to like walking, I do a lot of walking. I love walking. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like I said, my kids want to walk with me and be a part of that and see what I'm about, or are curious. It's like when I'm listening to certain music and certain stuff that speaks to me, they're
Mm-hmm.
they're they're interested in those different things. And then as well, vice versa,
Mm-hmm.
I'll immerse myself in their worlds. Like I'll binge anime with like my kids,
Oh.
like older kids, and we'll like literally sit here and watch like 10 episodes or something, or back
Yeah.
to back. And it was a way where, like I said, I realized it was a way to decompress, but then also it helped with those bonds and to
Yeah.
understand, both sides of the fence.
Yeah. Yeah. So including them in showing them how you take care of yourself. And you said one of my favorite words, which is boundaries.
Yes.
And I feel like boundaries, it sounds like that's the way that you sustain it, right? Like you have to set aside time, allocate time, and even show people, hey, this is how I'm taking care of myself. So this is a model for you and permission for you in terms of how to treat me. Because I prioritize me. I include my kids in how I prioritize me. And so this is an example for you. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, not to be overly deep or even go off on a slight
Please
tangent.
go deep. I'm a waterside. We love it.
Okay, so this is something like I realized that I wasn't practicing, loving myself, and I wasn't loving myself. I'm my own worst critic. I'm very harsh on myself on how my criteria for things, and ironically, with my screen handle for my IG is key.to.success, which was a fun play on words. My last name's Key, and success is a big thing I'm about. But what does that look like? And for some people, or for me, actually, speaking for me, earlier on, success for me meant a certain salary, a certain, house, a certain, these different things that were really tangible. Later, through this journey, the things that are really successful to me and is the fact that having peace of mind, feeling good about, who I am as a person and where I'm at in this particular part of my life, being around people who I really love and who love me back.
Mhm.
Those are my real measures of what about success, and that's really what I try my best to emphasize and different things. I don't put anything out there um, that's cap. I don't put anything out there that's
Okay.
like
Keep
that's
it
really
real.
fake. And I will show people, those different times. Or I talk a lot about those times where I am at my low, or things, I don't feel less successful. I talk about that a
Mhm.
lot because people need to hear that. But also, really, I'm speaking to myself to recognize like growth, where this is what matters to me. And I
Yeah.
recognize also that, overall growing up, again, from the generational side, that I grew up with a lot of people in my household or family that wasn't loving themselves and wasn't treating themselves right, or,
Yeah.
neglecting themselves. And that carried on to me. And a lot of behaviors and things I thought were normal or thought were cool,
Mhm.
I didn't realize it. But
Yeah.
once I've been around other people, or just, doing the work and research, therapy, and whatever various means, I recognized that there was, I had no choice but to do things for myself. And
Yeah.
if I don't treat myself good, then how can I expect anybody else to do so as well?
I
And
love that.
that's,
Exactly.
yeah, that was a hard pill for me to swallow, because in my mind, it didn't enter my mind for a long time that there was, again, something was wrong.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a norm. And I let a lot of people or a lot of scenarios, kind of break me down,
Mm.
and I had to rebuild myself. And like, I'm not the same person who I was a few years ago. Like, I've changed drastically, and I think I really feel I've changed for the better. Like, I'm more
Yeah.
mindful. I've always been really cool, calm, and collected, very even.
Mhm.
It's like I don't let a lot of things keep. scenarios really get to me. That's not important. Like,
Yeah.
I have a simple rule. If this is something, I'm just going to
Okay.
break things down into scenarios. Like
Mm-hmm.
compartmentalize it as in am I upset, or does this bother me just because this particular scenario, or is this been a pattern of time, like it's spanning more
Good
time?
questions.
If it's something that's really more isolated and I realize it's just a scenario, it's easier for me to roll it off my back or deal with it or manage it and keep it moving. If it's
Mm-hmm.
something I realize is actually more reoccurring, more long, long running, then I'm like, okay, let's explore that. Let's attack
Let's
that.
address it. Mm-hmm.
And that's what helps me out a lot. Just I feel like I'm being wordy, but
You're doing great.
but no, in my heart, like, so I realized like a lot of the stuff that was really taking its toll were manifesting in my body in the parts of me that were being affected.
Yes.
So I'm an overthinker. I'm very,
Mm-hmm.
my very mindful person. I started getting migraines, like severe migraines, to a point where they were blinding, where I couldn't see.
Wow.
I started having blood pressure issues, and I work out and I'm very active, and I'm since because of my
Yeah.
service, I stay up with my physical fitness.
Yeah.
Diet is pretty good. Like, I recognize that, my blood pressure was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was at a point earlier this year, I was at risk for a stroke. And
Wow.
I just, I'm 40. I turned 41 next month, and
Wow.
I was realizing, like, as I never had these issues, I
Yeah.
recognized that, my energy levels, were drastically low,
Yeah.
and I'm always, always tired, always feeling
Mm.
like I just can't get enough rest, and all these things together were really just symptoms of all these issues where
Yes.
I wasn't, I wasn't addressing, things I wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
addressing, or things I was addressing, but I just didn't know how to address it because, stuff comes all at once.
Right. It can feel overwhelming
It
sometimes to
feels
say,
very,
like, this is happening in my body, but this is happening in my life, but then this is happening in my mind. So when it comes to when you recognize, okay, not only is this affecting the way that I'm thinking, the way that I am moving through the world, but also my body, literally the
yeah.
migraines, the blood pressure. Were there any specific things that you did to
Yep.
grow in that area? Was it like a book? Were there people that you talked to? It could be anything. What tools do you feel like were helpful for you in that journey that we can maybe share with listeners?
One book I just right here. It's
I
Set
have that
Boundaries,
book.
Find Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Nidra Glover Tawab. I'm
Tawab. Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
book, Paulo
Mm-hmm.
Paulo correctly. Please forgive me.
We're
But
not
if you know
going.
the
We're not going to
alphabet,
try.
there's some of the other books and just some books and recently, those were really key first.
Okay. Yeah.
Number two, I just started looking at, just again from my lifestyle. Like, I have a really fast paced lifestyle, so like I said, being very intentional. For me, it was, more smoothies and a lot more water,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
less meat, more fruits, and
And
veggies.
veggies. Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
things like that, little habits and stuff. And I'm like literally still always trying to retool that mix because things are always
Right.
changing and I'm always changing.
Right.
But stuff like that, the walking, exercising, just holistic, different holistic stuff. I'm really, I've tried, a lot of like medications and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
but I hate that whole
Mm-hmm.
context of you're addressing one problem to get another. And so,
Mm.
again, just figuring out those different things that you can do, and apple cider vinegar, spinach, pineapple, cucumber,
Yeah.
berries, in a
Putting
smoothie
that in there. Uh-huh.
will help you way more than that pill or that
Mm.
medication. Sometimes if you do this in, over time, little
Yep.
little things you can do to look up and to address those issues, for me, have
Yeah.
been key. So I had
I
to open
like
up my
it.
mind, and I've done, like I said, quite a lot of things to address and to make
Mm-hmm.
myself, feel better and be better.
Yeah.
And it's been paying off. Like I said, it's been hugely paying off. Uh, One thing I wish I can, get back is my hair.
Ah.
So, everything, can't win them all. Can't win them all.
You are crazy.
But
Listen.
but it
Well,
worked.
technology. It might be out there. You might be able to do something about that.
Yeah, you can.
But What I'm hearing, so I hope that a lot of men are taking nuggets from this, because it's wonderful to know that you don't have to feel pressure to change everything at once.
No.
You can make small, like in James Clear, his book Atomic Habits, he talks about 1%
Yes.
changes, right? You don't got to do a 180 overnight. That's going to literally overwhelm you, shock your system, cause you to lose motivation. You get discouraged because it's hard to eat a whole elephant in one bite. But if you do it in 1% changes, small bites, small steps, right? They're sustainable for the long term. Like you mentioned, like you want this to be a long-term effect, a long-term impact. So knowing that you can read it, start out by reading a book. If you want to read 10 pages, start with just reading 10 pages. Or if you want to switch from having more meat on your plate to maybe a little bit more veggies, still can have some protein, but eat some more veggies, small 1% changes that
Yeah,
can
that's
affect you.
for me. It kind of like came natural. It wasn't like I had like some huge epiphany or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was more just really organic. Like the beginning of the year, I just had this less desire to drink as much alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never
Mm-hmm.
forget, for New Year's, I had my kids, and we were celebrating. They wanted me to make all this food and do all this other stuff. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, let me grab a few bottles. This for me, like I'm
Uh-huh.
about to go crazy. Just
About to
have a few
pop
drinks.
bottles.
Yeah, yeah, a little something, nothing crazy, but just have fun. Like just have some fun. And also I recognize too, real talk, is that when I was eating dinner, especially with my kids or just with certain
Mm-hmm.
people, I would commonly have like a drink, like pour a drink or two,
Right.
and you would see it. And I realized like when I stopped doing that, like people were looking at me like weird, like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm
Yeah.
not." Like I just didn't want to, drink. And I'm not saying I don't drink at all. It's just that
Right.
I ended up just realizing that I wanted to
Less.
be a little bit less,
Mm-hmm.
and be more of more of a quality versus a quantity kind of thing. So it's like if I am having a drink, just give me that one or two good glasses of
Yep.
this, unless we're really celebrating over the course of some time. You might see me drink, over the night, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I'm not like, there's no more. And it has been so long of like really being like drunk or like feeling bad or
Every night.
hangovers
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Majority of it is just like, all right, that was cool. And wake up next day, keep it moving, keep it
Yeah.
moving. So little stuff. It was like little changes. And that was like one of the biggest ones that I did like subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like I never forget, like I said, I had all these bottles, and then when I was with my kids, I realized that I didn't really feel like drinking at all,
Yeah.
and it just stuck with me. And it's a week turned to 2 weeks, three, and it kept going further and further. And I started realizing that I had like dust on like all like my
Not dust.
yeah, I had dust on my drink collection and certain stuff. And like I said, I still drink, and I'm very very fond of like
Yeah.
huge tequila lover. I love tequila a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
whiskeys. So I still won't say like no. It's just the fact that
Right.
I won't be like, all right, let me keep going.
It's not as much.
It's not as much. It's not as much, and I'm enjoying the flavors and stuff. Like I'm savoring stuff
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and I just want to stick around as long as possible and feel as good as possible.
Come
And
on. Longevity.
longevity is real, and my main goal is to.
I know that's right.
I still want to dunk on people. Still, he has a whole team.
He's a
Dunking.
whole
Yeah,
team.
yeah, I'm dunking. He could be talking smack like whatever, old man. I
I'm
only play.
pretty sure you can either way at any age. Brett, you are very tall. How tall are you? What are you, 6'7"?
Yeah, 6'7", definitely. Oh, yeah,
You
six
are
seven.
6'7". You could dunk on anybody any day. Okay.
No, I gotta
But
wind the knees up and put that WD-40.
icy hot. Come on.
It ain't what it used to be. I give you something, but no, I ain't make it seem
Okay.
like I'm out here going crazy.
Or if you do it, that's going to be the one for the year. You're going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
out for
it's
the
gonna
rest
be
of the
like you're
year.
gonna get this one good game of me going crazy. Then after that, it's just like go back
That's
into the
it.
slide. Yeah, put me
Oh,
back into the slide
gosh.
because I'm washed. I'm washed.
I love it. I love it. So even the changes were subconscious. You feel better. You notice the change. You notice the benefit because you were just feeling better. So
Yeah.
if there's like other guys out there who are listening to this podcast, especially Black men who are like, I need to make a change. I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling myself. I may be noticing these patterns in the way that I'm showing up. What's a word of wisdom, encouragement, advice that you would give them to take away from this episode?
Well, I would say first, you're not alone, and a lot of people need you, value you, and you are very important.
Yeah.
So taking care of you is always going to be first. Second portion of it is start recording in some form or fashion, whatever medium you feel comfortable with.
Mm.
I like dry erase boards. I love dry erase boards.
Okay.
I write a lot of stuff on dry erase boards. I have a dry erase board that has 11 questions on there. Take care of myself. It's like it's called take care of you, daily. And some of it is very simple and very benign. Some of it is very important, like very important. And so think about what you really need and find a way to track it. Don't just put it in your head. There's so much technology out there. We got Apple, got the notes, you got Google Keep, you got email, text message, you got so many different mediums, pen and paper, whatever way you feel comfortable. Write down the things that you feel that you need, or even that you feel that you're missing. And then once you look at it, sit with it, look at a way to address it one by one. Don't have to all be all good at once.
Like that.
Just do things, little by little, and with as much intention as possible. And you will see that, you do this over the course of a few days, a few weeks, a few months, or even if it gets to the point of a few years, you will drastically be better. And it'll be not just internally, for yourself. The outside world will see the difference. And you'll have a new era of confidence and swag and self-worth and reliance that you may never have before. So those will be my encouraging words is, you matter, you are important. And in addition, put in some form or fashion what you need or what you feel are your gaps, and then work on those different things, because that's what men are. We're like logical. We're like solution guys. That's our thing. So start doing the steps that you are naturally, inclined to do, and see what happens.
I love that. All right, y'all. Know that you matter. We need you, Black men, especially. You matter. And it's important to document. Keep track. Hold yourself accountable. One more thing. Speaking of accountable, what does that look like for you in terms of who's in your community or support system who holds you accountable to making sure that you do all of these things consistently?
Well, ironically, my kids are really good at it, especially my oldest. My oldest will call me up like if I'm the kid, and she's like, "Did you get some rest?
I know that's right.
Drink water? Did you go hang out with your friends? Did you go?" Like she like my oldest daughter, like she does that really well. My others two do it too as well, but she does it the most and consistently. So she is like, it's weird because I'm her parent, but she tries to parent me. Outside of that, I have some beautiful people in my world. Like I have some women who are very like mindful. Just I got homies as well. Same thing. They don't do that. They definitely are very mindful.
Yeah.
That simple reaching out at times. So a small community of people sees me.
Yeah.
Sees me not just at the good times. So leaning on them and some more at that. And making sure that I'm good, and again, return the favor as well. So that's the best way I can answer that.
Yeah, no, you answered it great. It's worth it to say, hey, I'm not alone. Let me be open to having a community, having an ecosystem that's going to check in on me. I check in on them. Pour into me. I pour into them. It is so important to have community to hold you accountable. So I love that.
It really is.
I love that.
I got a randomly. I got a question for you.
Not me being interviewed.
Yeah. This ain't no. We gonna go have me over here on the Budweiser. No, we're not. No,
okay, what's your question?
My question to you with this podcast, and I see what you're doing. I love your episodes so far.
Thank you.
But ultimately, what do you see this being in like a year or 2 years from now?
I love that question. Honestly, so this podcast has been like 3 years in the making, right? When I first decided I wanted to podcast, it's because I just wanted to share my story. I had a lot of things that was going through back then, still going through, but 2020, 2019, ghetto. It was just so much happening in my life. And
Right.
so I was like, the way that I'm experiencing this, the way that I'm overcoming this, like, I need to share this with somebody. I felt like that was kind of like a calling. Like, it wasn't necessarily my idea. This was definitely a divine download. Like, I feel like God was like, all right, you need to share your story, because I've always been a storyteller since I was young.
Right.
But over time, I was like, I'm not alone in this. Clearly, there are other people out here who have stories to tell. I hope that this platform is a space where I can hold a safe space where people feel open and vulnerable enough to share their story, so that other people can say, wow, I am also going through that, or I have also gone through that. And I needed some encouragement. I needed some tools. I needed to hear that I'm not alone. So really, I hope that this just kind of forms like an energetic community where even if I don't know you, I can't speak to you, I can't touch you, you know that I understand or I empathize with you, and that there's other people who can too. So like the guests that come on, I hope that they give that same energy to other people and the listeners. Over time, tangibly over time, I hope that it grows to be something that I can do, whether it's live, whether it turns into some sort of actual community where we come together and meet. I really hope that I have a chance to release some sort of production, like a product, like a workbook or an ebook or an actual tangible book. I would love to do that. But yeah, I really just want to hold space and make sure people know that your story, you're not in silo. Like you mentioned, you're not on the island. There's other people out there who have experienced it, who can give you encouragement, who can stand with you and say, I too have had that struggle. And let's walk through it together. Let's journey together. So, yep. I hope that's what it comes to.
No, it will come to. See, this is it's like there's so much power in words and actions. So we don't speak like if we wishing for things to happen. We think we speak of it
Yeah,
as if it already has happened.
it is.
So it
So it
will.
is. Ashe.
Yeah,
So it
this.
is.
So it is. So it is. So no, these things right now, it's like you're putting in the work and you're doing it. So therefore, it is happening.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
just a
you.
matter of when. So please keep going. Even those times when you don't really feel like it, or whatever, you might slow down, but don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
feel it on your heart to do this and got this far, it's for a reason, and you never know who is looking. Which is, I had to recognize that a
Mm-hmm.
lot myself personally, but for you, I'm
Yeah.
saying like you never know who is looking and who is affected, and
Yeah.
you are different.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate you pouring that into me. I received that for sure. For sure. Thank you. Y'all, not him turning it around on me. Jesus.
Uno reverse, baby. I love Uno now. Look, that's my game.
A
So
little Orno reverse.
ah, mm.
Oh gosh. Well, I hope y'all really enjoyed hearing Brett's story, hearing part of my story now, and really took something away from it. I hope that you're inspired. We're going to move to another segment of the podcast, which is one of my favorites, and it has to do with gratitude. All right, you all, you know the gratitude segment. It is called GIFT. If you're new here, GIFT is an acronym. The G stands for gratitude or goal, the I is for intention, the F is for faith or focus, and then the T is for take action. And so I'm going to invite Brett to definitely participate in our gratitude exercise today. If you are listening or watching, do this with us, write it down, and let's do this together. So for me, I'll start my gratitude. As you were sharing and as I was preparing for the episode, I was thinking about all the Black men who were in my life. I have like a group of friends, my really close girlfriends, they're partners. They're like my brothers at this point. My own brother. I have other people that I've met throughout college, middle school. One of my really best friends, I met him in middle school. Just all the Black men in my life, I'm really grateful for, and I hope that they know that they matter and that we need them. And so I'm really just grateful for them. My intention is to then make sure that I do my best to hold space for the Black men in my life. I know it's easy to kind of just assume that they're all great with the weight that they carry and that I can just put more on them, right? Even my own partner, right? Making sure that I'm asking, how can I make your day more easeful? Or how can I make sure that I am showing up for you? And so that's my intention. My faith. My faith. Okay. What you even poured in is my faith is to trust that this journey it's going to be fulfilling all of the dreams that I have, even the ones that I don't know are dreams yet, that it's going to be worth it. And then my take action. What is going to be my take action? I have a lot of books that I've been ordering. I'm going to read. You mentioned like reading books. I have a lot of books that I've been ordering. They're behind me, lined up. So I'm going to read one of those books in the next month. I'll give myself a month to read a book. So I actually just got two books. One is Sisterhood Heals by Dr. Joy. She is the therapist for therapy for Black girls. And then the other is, I think, Rest is Resistance, and that's by the Nap Ministry. And I follow both of them on IG. So that's my take action. I'm going to read a book.
That sounds dope. All
All
right, so
right.
my G in this, so my gratitude would be, I'm just thankful that, hey, I'm here for my baby girl's birthday, and I'm
Yes.
super grateful that it doesn't take much to make her happy. So we got some good stuff planned for her today for her party and so forth. So that's the only gratitude with that. Plus, with that, there are some friends and family who are, going to be a part of it that, don't normally get a chance to be around at some time.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
My I, which is my intention. My intention is just to live in that moment and live with this time. I leave tomorrow for an Air Force duty for a few weeks. So,
Okay.
this time and just spending really good quality time with each of the kids,
Yeah.
that's all my attention. My F, my faith and focus would be just from my entrepreneur journey. Just keep leaning still to this vision. There are
Yes.
so many doors that's just been opening and things happening. I just want to keep leaning into that,
Yeah.
and as well celebrate the wins and recognize the losses.
Yeah.
But essentially that would be my F, and then my T, which is one more time. T is
Take action.
take action. My take action is just leave. I have an intern that's working with me
Mm-hmm.
for my entrepreneur stuff, and just making sure
Cool.
that I map out the things that need to be covered in my absence and so forth. And
Okay.
as well, just making sure I lay a plan out, not just for that, but then also for my children. They got other stuff that they got going on or they're a part of. So just making sure that even though I'm not around, that they still feel my presence in
Yeah.
some
Oh,
form or
yeah.
fashion. So that's my gift.
Love it. Thank you for your gift. I hope that everyone listening also has a chance to present or practice their gratitude with gift. All right, y'all. The last segment, which is one of my favorites. I'm a lover of music, especially live music. And sometimes music, it can express the things that you may not have the words for. Now, it's called Vibe Tunes at the moment. So Vibe Tunes ATM. Now, Brett, the song doesn't have to necessarily be related to the topic that we shared or the story today, but it can be. But think of a song, or if you have a couple, that's fine, that just are kind of resonating with you right now, right? Maybe they're the ones that you have on repeat, the ones that really go hard in the car, whatever that is, or maybe connects you to other people.
Okay.
So that's Vibe Tunes at the moment. And I create a playlist. So if you're listening on you or watching on YouTube, there is a playlist for Vibe Tunes at the moment. The link is in the description. Check it out. It is an eclectic collection. I just want to warn y'all. We got gospel, we got trap, we got ratchet, we got Beyonce. It's a lot on there. So
I love it. Look, that sounds like me. And any given day,
listen,
I'm gonna check that out because I love it. You never know. You might
that is
discover
my literal
things.
playlist. Okay.
Yes. So
It speaks to us.
I got a few tracks actually, and they kind of go
Give
all
me
over the
them.
place. But so one would be first track would be a song. It's called Untitled, and it's by Logic, a rapper. And this track right now is really speaking to me. One, because just the way how it comes in is a really
Mm-hmm.
great like boom bap, like a real hip hop song. Nothing
Uh-huh.
more, nothing less.
Yeah.
Then outside of that, the next would be Derringer, I think it is. And that's Sauce Walker, Conway the Machine. I like it because it's a soulful, like a very soulful beat. But it's
Okay.
just the way how they're rapping. It's kind of like that. It's kind of a throwback style of rapping, but it's also very modern. And then you
Uh-huh.
got Conway the Machine, very good wordplay. Just a really interesting song, very well
Okay.
composed. And then my third to round it out would be Tim's and Brent Faiyaz. They got a
Yes.
song. The name of this right now is escaping me for some moment right now. Oh my goodness, it's gonna mess me up. But if they've only gotten like one real main song together, if you look it up,
Let me
but
see
that's the
real
track
quick.
right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
found.
thank you. I was like, it's an F word, but I didn't want to.
That's a lot of them. We
I didn't
got it.
want to.
It's found, y'all, not the other
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. So that was a joint right there. Like I just like the vibe of that, the
Yeah.
melody. You just get that nice back and forth. It's just a great,
Hmm.
summer evening, whatever, kind of
Yeah.
driving song. So yeah, those are my three right now that are, in my rotation. There's a lot more, but I'm gonna give you those three because those been playing the most recently.
I love it. Thank you for those three. And you put me into some artists I haven't even heard of. So you said Sauce Walker. Is that the artist name?
Yeah, Sauce Walker from he's from H Town.
Okay.
Real short dude, but he rocks and he can rap his tail off. And then you got Conway the Machine from
Conway
Griselda.
the Machine.
Griselda, yeah. He raps a little different because he got an injury to his mouth, so he has like this, his mouth is a bit slanted, but he has
Uh-huh.
just crazy bars and like wordplay and production. Kind of gives you that, feel of that late '90s to mid 2000s music. That New York rap, kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Real layered music. A lot of entendres being thrown at you. Very, very witty rhymes. So yeah,
I
that's
love
that dude
it.
right now. He's killing it. Yeah, he's killing it.
All right. Well, I'm about to look that up. Putting this on, y'all. Thank you for those three songs. I have one for you all. It is a song that I actually came across on Instagram because Sarah Jakes Roberts, she posted it with a video, and it's called Yet. It's by The Kingdom, or The King Will Come. And basically, the lyrics are talking about not wanting God to give up on you yet, knowing that you're not your best yet, but wanting him to still use you, asking him to not leave you alone, give you a chance to grow. Basically, just saying, don't give on me, don't give up on me yet. I know I'm not my best yet, but still use me, still give me an opportunity to make an impact, to change the world, to just experience you. And yet is another one of my favorite words, along with boundaries, because yet is a word that identifies the possibilities. It means that there is still more to come. So, like, instead of saying, I don't know how to ride a bike, I don't know how to ride a bike yet, meaning that it's going to happen. I just don't know when, but the possibility is there. So I love the song Yet by The King Will Come. All right, y'all. Brett, I really appreciate you. Thank you for your
Likewise.
story. Thank you for your vulnerability. I've learned a lot. You put me onto some things, especially some music. I'm sure the listeners appreciate you too. Before we go, where can the listeners find you? Where can they look you up on social media or online?
Well, I have a lot of presence on there, so there's a number of ways. But if you just want to connect with me personally, my Instagram handle is key dot to dot success.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's my handle for there, so easy to reach there. If you want to look more into what I'm doing from an entrepreneur side, Date Jar, and it's my Date Jar, MyDateJar, My Date Jar, the website, all social media. Check
Mm-hmm.
me out. I got some good stuff for you if you're looking to find some things doing your quality time, or you're bored, or you don't know what to do. I got you
Yeah.
covered, and then some. So please, yeah, I'm easy to find. Very easy.
All right, y'all. So Brett Key, he's a man with the plan for sure. He dropped a lot of great nuggets, giving us some life lessons, and also showing that even though you have a lot of roles and a lot of hats you wear, you can still prioritize your mental health, your well-being, and be successful. So we love it. We love it. All right, you all. Thank you so much for listening to Here We Are, the Mindful Podcast for Millennials. Let's connect on Instagram at the Here We Are Pod, Facebook at Here We Are Podcast with Teka, and on YouTube at Here We Are Pod. And if you are loving the podcast, I'd be so honored if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, rate and leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. This helps us to get the podcast in front of those who need it. It aligns us with those who need the message. And if you have a story that you want to share, or you have some feedback that you want to share with Brett, give us an email at theherewearepod@gmail.com. Remember to breathe. In this present moment, be here. Take care.